Recording, honey.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Terri Wisdom, and I'm coming to you from Harlem Network News, live from Harlem. And as most of you know, Harlem Network News is a new media platform that started about the time of the pandemic. And we are dedicated to bringing everything Harlem and the Harlems of the world to the community, particularly communities, urban communities, communities of color that we feel are often underrepresented by major media. So we really try to cover everything. And one of our mottos and vision is that we know knowledge is power. You can reach us at harlemnetworknews.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, on the web, and YouTube. And today, I really have the superstars of Harlem here with me. Harlem Park to Park. I have Nikoa, and she is the executive director of Parks to Park, and they'll introduce themselves in case I'm saying the wrong thing or not exactly the right thing. And I also have Valerie Wilson, who is with Harlem Park to Park and the PR person and a person that has really taken some great initiatives on the rollout of the most recent Black Lives Matter mural, street mural in Harlem that was just amazing. It was more than a mural, a community effort. So without further ado, I'll let Nikoa say what I didn't say. Just say a little bit about Harlem Park to Park and the Black Lives mural, please. Thank you, Nikoa.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Terri, for having me and Valerie on your show. We're always happy to talk about Harlem Park to Park. As you mentioned, I'm the executive director and one of the co-founders of the organization, which was formed almost 11 years ago now, in September 2009. Ironically, during the last economic downturn, we're in another one, so we're sort of having a deja vu moment with the organization. But it was formed as a way for the businesses in Harlem to come together as a collective and leverage their strength as a collective to produce initiatives that were designed to promote the businesses and create commerce opportunities for growth, economic development. So we have been in existence for 11 years, and we're well known for many of our signature platforms, both on the community engagement side, placemaking, and economic development. And our most recent and most high profile as of late has been the Black Lives Matter Harlem Street Mural, which was a huge community engagement and cultural platform for us. The mission of Harlem Park to Park is preserving Harlem's culture and heritage, community engagement, and commerce, developing economic growth for our businesses. So this was unique in that we were able to combine all three efforts in one platform with the help of Valerie Wilson, as you mentioned, who's on the call as well. So we're excited to be here to share.
Yes, yeah, it's really great to just have you here. I know that you all have been so busy the past few weeks, just actively on the ground with the Black Lives Matter mural. So Harlem Network News is completely honored to have you here. What actually was the motivation? How did Harlem Park to Park get started? Like, whose idea was it and why?
Well, if you recall, 2008, 2009, we had the economy collapsed, and actually Beatrice Siblis, who is one of our co-chairs at the time, she's has her own development company, Boss Development, but at the time she was the chair of the Economic Development Committee for Community Board 10, and she decided that there was a need to do a check-in with the Harlem businesses and really conduct a needs assessment to see what they needed to survive the downturn. So as a result, she reached out to Carl Franz Williams, who is also on our board, a co-founder who at the time was the owner of Society Coffee and 67 Orange Street. And then Carl began to reach out to several other entrepreneurs, myself included, who at the time I owned a store in Harlem, a men's and women's store called N. So there were a group of 9 of us that came together to really brainstorm about what would be needed to help the businesses in Harlem survive the economic downturn in 2009 and 2010. And we just started determining initiatives that we thought, how do we promote ourselves so that people know we're here? At that time, there was a lot of, people had moved into Harlem. People were living in Harlem, but they were doing most of their lifestyle activities outside of Harlem, all of their shopping, their dining, their entertainment. So we needed to create strategies to let people know that they didn't need to leave the neighborhood anymore. And it literally started out as a marketing effort on our part, because so many people on the co-founding board of directors had a marketing background. And so from there, the marketing initiatives evolved into economic development initiatives, and we really started to understand more and more kind of what the role Harlem Park to Park could play in not only marketing and promoting the neighborhood, but creating sustainability for the small businesses, as well as preserving the cultural heritage. And so it really was very entrepreneurial. It was several entrepreneurs doing what entrepreneurs do, which is troubleshooting and figuring out how to put out fires, and then coming together with strategies that you can implement really quickly. And that's where it started.
Okay, that sounds great. Valerie, tell us about yourself, what you do, how you got involved in Harlem Park to Park, and just a little bit about what some of the efforts were for Black Lives Matter. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but obviously that's what everybody wants to know. So you guys have put yourself.
Sure.
Yes.
So I started my company, Valing PR, after having left agency life, and I was taking time off to raise my then very young family, and we ended up in Harlem. I went out to dinner with to celebrate ourselves, a group of moms, for making it through our first year of Harlem Little League. And that was when I actually had dinner at my first Harlem restaurant. It was Yatanga. And I just was sitting, I come from a background of some high level food and lifestyle PR. And I really hadn't thought of, I was just sort of oriented, as Nikoa said, of going downtown to do all of those things. So doing it in my community wasn't something that I had really linked into yet. And that day I did, when I thought, my gosh, this is so, such a great space, such a, like the service was great, the food was good. They had a nice drink program. It was like this sort of francophone bistro vibe to it. And I thought, well, so if I'm not aware of how many great places there are here like this, then who's telling people about it? And it should be me. And that's really how I decided to start Valing PR. That was 10 years ago. And I ended up meeting Nikoa through what was then my first client, a children's place called, oh my gosh, don't remember the name, but they were like a children's playing space. And the owner said, we just joined this organization called Park to Park, and I think that you should meet them. I bet they could really use your help. So I reached out to Nikoa, and the first project we worked on was the Harlem Harvest Festival, which really set us on our path of how we would work together moving forward. That was an opportunity to raise awareness not only about what Park to Park was doing, but also the community and its diversity and its everything that makes it attractive to the rest of the city. And the goal there was to really make it visible. We brought a bunch of TV cameras uptown to show that our community and our neighborhood was beautiful. We're doing interesting and forward-thinking things, and it took off from there. I believe that event sort of doubled in size just based on people seeing themselves on TV and coming out, and it rolled on from there. So Harlem Park to Park is Valing PR's longest standing client to date, and we have together work to really build what is now much of the hospitality community. We've worked directly with businesses to help them better understand how to use PR and marketing to better position their business for a larger market share. And we've been able to amplify all of the platforms, the great platforms that Harlem Park to Park has initiated, and really give it voice and visibility. So we saw in our Black Lives Matter mural, the culmination of really all of that work come together so seamlessly. It seemed like it all sort of flowed, but this is 10 years of definitely 10 years of input and exercise and really developing a formula for excellence, working with some really incredibly talented and strong-willed women and man, Carl, who have really laid the groundwork for what we do. So this project was tremendous in scope. We were able to do it in such a short amount of time. Nikoa is so skilled at doing that and sort of, you know, keeping us in our lanes and moving a big ship forward. So we're always happy to jump on board when she's leading, and it all, you know, we were all able to really shine in the things that we do and do well for this mural, really bringing together the community, amplifying it in an international perspective to see what we did, bringing together the arts. We, you know, putting an actual museum without walls out on the street for the community to enjoy. So it was a tremendous experience all around.
Yes, it absolutely was. And I think especially at this time, it really was very, very uplifting. And for those of you who are just joining in, I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News, just coming to you with the members of Harlem Park to Park. If you could just share, and for those of you who don't know, Harlem Park to Park is the organization that brought Black Lives Matter mural to Harlem. They are the funders of it. It was not city funded. It was Harlem Park to Park and their partners funded. And it was also completely supported by the community. So it was a beautiful dance where the community and Harlem Park to Parks, everyone came together and really made something happen. And it was just a great sense of accomplishment for the community to be able to do something like this in this time that is so extraordinary with COVID-19, as well as the pandemic of racism, the pandemic of ignorance. I mean, Harlem came together and Harlem shined. So Nikoa, if you could just share, who are the members of Park to Park and what role does everybody play?
Sure. Well, what's great about Harlem Park to Park is that we have a really diverse membership. When we first started it 11 years ago, the restaurant industry dominated the membership. So it was really very hospitality focused, and a lot of our programming was very hospitality oriented. Over the years, as the merchant mix has evolved in Harlem, the membership has evolved. So now restaurants represent about a third of the membership. We have over 250 members, and a third are restaurants, but now we also have many retail. We have numerous product entrepreneurs, many of which are now in Whole Foods as a result of an economic development program we have. We have cultural institutions, nonprofits, and what's interesting about the nonprofit sector is that that's actually one of our fastest growing. We're getting a number of organizations that are nonprofit as well as operating in the social impact space, of which the third partner in the Black Lives Matter mural, Gotta Stop, was a new member of Harlem Park to Park, operating within the social impact space, and was able to jump in very quickly and get involved, which is something that we like to see. As I said, Harlem Park to Park is very entrepreneurial, and we are a nonprofit. We are not a bid, so we're not funded by tax assessments like other merchant organizations. Many of them are business improvement districts, like the 125th Street bid. So
Yes.
we really do hustle for our dollar. We get money from our grant funding sources, from our corporate sponsors, from donations, and we are entrepreneurial in that we know how to make a dollar stretch. So we produce very large scale productions on budgets that people would be surprised, but it's because we have so much talent within the network, so much experience. People have come from backgrounds, whether it's corporate backgrounds or other areas with very, very strong expertise. The entrepreneurial community in Harlem is extremely savvy and very, very experienced. And so we have what I often brag that we have a network of talent that we could not afford to pay if we had to, because we have such tremendous expertise within the organization and certainly on our board. And so we've been able to leverage that expertise in order to create large-scale initiatives that have really catapulted the businesses, the market, community to a level, and with that added exposure from Valinc, that has put us on par with organizations that are much larger than ours, with more resources, staffing, et cetera. But we're able to, execute at that same level. So the membership is really diverse, and it's probably more savvy and experienced than a lot of small kind of merchant organizations would have, but we've been able to benefit greatly from that. And Harlem as a village is very, very collaborative. So we've got that same culture within the organization. And so, one of our taglines is collaboration before competition. And so we really do work together to build this. And it's why we're still here 11 years later.
Okay, I like that. This is Terri Wisdom from Harlem Network News. And what's that statement you said? Collaboration before
competition.
Before competition. I think that's a good way for us to move forward at this time. And who were some of the people, I mean, is it like a cluster? Because I know that it's you, Nikoa, as the executive director. It's Valerie, like handling the PR. Erica, and this was for the Black Lives Matter program. Erica from Gotta Stop was the social impact. And what role does Trinez play in the Harlem Park to Park, please?
Trinez is actually one of the co-chairs.
Let's identify. I'm saying Trinez like everybody.
Trinez Woods Black. Trinez Woods Black, granddaughter Sylvia. She's part of the Sylvia Woods family, but she is a co-founding board member and currently co-chair of Harlem Park to Park, along with Beatrice Siblis. And then Carl Franz, who I mentioned, is our vice chair. So we are, the co-founding board is still very much the existing board and will continue to be that foundation for the organization. So Trinez is actively involved as a co-founding board member and currently as co-chair.
Okay, so we're gonna just jump forward a little bit. And once again, this is Terri Wisdom, this is Harlem Network News. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, also on the web at harlemnetworknews.com and YouTube. And we were very, very impressed with the PR rollout that happened for the Black Lives Matter. And we're definitely going to be talking to Valerie to see how we can work with her, because I think it was just, I'm going to say that on the air. And for anybody else that is
the magic wand,
PR master, you need to get in touch with Valerie. And of course, you need to reach out to Nikoa and think about joining and supporting the Harlem Park to Park. But if you could just share a little bit, because what is on the big map is Black Lives Matter, the Harlem Black Lives Matter mural. And if either one of you could just give us the backstory, like how did that all come about? Where did you guys get the idea? What was the process in terms of just getting it from concept to the pavement? What happened? Because all these things are happening really quickly, like you said.
It was very quick, yeah.
Black Lives Matter, and then suddenly it's like you guys just actually made it happen. So if you could just share that, that would be great.
Sure. Well, actually, what happened literally was that I was on social media and I saw an article about the mural that had been installed by the Mayor Bowser of Washington, D.C. Yes. And as soon as I saw that article, I immediately thought, wait, if there's a Black Lives Matter mural in Washington, D.C., there has to be one in Harlem. By the next day, there were murals popping up in other cities. So I immediately accelerated the process by contacting our Senator Brian Benjamin and Gail Brewer's office to see how they would be able to assist with accelerating a mural for Harlem as one of the Manhattan locations. By that point, the mayor had announced that he was going to be putting a mural in each borough. And so we were lobbying for the Harlem mural to be the Manhattan location. So it took a lot of political leadership in the early stages to even get approval for it, because other areas had been designated for the Manhattan location. From that, it was really brainstorming about, we knew that Harlem needed to be one of the preeminent, if not the preeminent mural created, because by this point, again, now we're a week in and murals are popping up around the country. So what was important to us was that the Harlem mural being the epicenter of Black culture, we needed to be a thought leader in this movement. How could we, both in the design of the mural and in the creation of it, take it to another level so that it was not merely just a message that was painted on the street. We knew that it was going to be important as an art exhibition, but we also wanted it to really represent the embodiment of what the Black Lives Matter message means. And so the community engagement, as I said early on, Harlem Park to Park, we're known for our community engagement. We knew that we had to incorporate that in a huge way into the overall creation of the mural. So the process, it was very much a collective. It was all hands on deck. Once we got the go-ahead, the approval by Senator Benjamin got the approval by the city that we could do the mural, and Department of Transportation, we just started thinking about how to pull it together in a way in a short period of time, because we literally had 3 weeks, and we learned early on that it was not going to be funded by the city, which was news to us. So we had to quickly start fundraising, which was an effort in and of itself, and bring in strategic partners that could help us, get it done. And it's definitely, for me, and I think for Valerie as well, as a project, and most likely Erica as well, as a project, is the largest scale one we produced, that in terms of the number of people and the logistics that was required for it, and the various levels, from political leadership to community level to funders to architectural firms to just, the small businesses.
Yes.
What was also unique about our strategy was that we are an economic development organization, Harlem Park to Park. So it was also important to layer into this a way in which the businesses would be able to participate and benefit. So we engaged the small restaurants to provide the meals for the artists and the volunteers while they were on the lot painting the mural. So we commissioned the artists. We purchased the paint from a local paint store on 125th Street. Okay. So this really was very much an economic development, a community engagement, and a cultural exercise for us. But it was, like I said, it was all hands on deck, and it evolved throughout the process, the needs of it, because we, as you know, had the issue with the vandalism, and so we had to engage once again to repair the damage, which was another process. So this was really, really comprehensive to execute.
Yeah, I think it's probably a great textbook study for entrepreneurship countrywide, for people to kind of look and see how a community can pull together, even if there aren't a lot of resources. It's just a prime example. And even through challenges, I commend you all for working through those challenges. Valerie, do you want to just say a few words about, from the PR standpoint, what the coverage was like, and then also, you know, just a brief bit about what happened with the vandalism and how you all actually dealt with that. And it was, you know, very critical for vandalism, number one, to happen in Harlem, because we consider, and Harlem is the mecca of the Black and world, the world of color. Harlem is a mecca. So for something to happen here, it's just an affront on many, many levels. But I was just extremely impressed at the way that Harlem Park, APark, and Erica's group, and all of the partners, the artists, how everybody handled it. I mean, people were upset and angry, of course, but you really did not let that take over. You just got right back to the drawing board. You stood up, you were humble, you were strong, and still you rose. It was just, I was extremely impressed. So if you want to share a little bit about what happened, because once again, this is Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And one of my things was, even in seeing what happened with the vandalism, not that that's something that you're gonna, you know, purport as the major situation, but I really didn't see a lot of coverage on major media as to exactly what happened. I saw things about the vandalism at the Trump place. I saw things about vandalism in Brooklyn, like over and over and over again on New York One, but I didn't see anything about what happened here in Harlem, which is more to the heart, more significant. It represents a lot of things, but like I said, the way you all managed it, it was stellar. So if you could just share a little bit about what happened, your thoughts on it, and how you worked through it.
Sure, of course. I think the key to what made our mural distinctive was how we incorporated the artists and the community, number one, and number two, the fact that we were very deliberate in not making it a yellow mural. The yellow mural was what really signified more of the political statement that was made. That was the original color that the mayor in DC used. And we wanted to approach our mural more as a community space. We wanted it to be something that would be more inviting. We wanted it also to really represent all of the things that we celebrate in Harlem, about Harlem. So our culture, our history, our artistry, you know, our Black is beautiful. And so that was sort of the real spirit of the mural, and how the artwork was curated. My husband, Lerone Wilson, who is a practicing fine artist, curated the artists for us, and was able to bring together. And his point of view was basically, even though some of the artists were also suggested by Erica, by Nikoa, but his overall feel for what he was hoping we would ultimately achieve was a really spiritual, like the piece will come across in a really spiritual, lifting way. And I think these artists that came out and created what they did really achieved that. And I think that was the feeling that the community was reacting to when they got there on the mural, when they were experiencing it. So in the midst of a pandemic, when museums and other traditional art viewing spaces were not available, we had this outdoor exhibition of art that was in the middle of centrally in Harlem. And so that, media-wise, was an immediate attraction to that, because ours was so distinctive from what everybody else was doing. And that's what we really set out to make that difference and comparison. And so for each stage of what we did, we made sure that we pulled out what was key about that. So when we launched, what was key about it was to announce what we had done in terms of bringing together the community, bringing together these artists, and what we intended for the mural to represent. And then of course we had all of these dignitaries that joined us on that day, so that was an extra attraction, and it brought out the press. And then when we wanted to actually launch the mural, so sorry for the traffic sounds you're hearing. When we wanted to actually,
okay.
Oh, great. So when we wanted to launch the actual mural, then it was that day was about the art.
Mm-hmm.
That day was about the art itself, and we were able to attract.
Okay, I think Valerie froze for us on a minute, but maybe Nikoa can pick up for right now where Valerie left off. She said that the first day was a day for media to come out, and because there were so many public officials and everyone was there, that there was full media coverage from all of the major networks, cable, New York One, everybody was there. But the second day, which was actually the unveiling of the art, that was about the artists. So Nikoa, if you would just pick up, we lost Valerie, but I'm sure she will return. And this is once again Harlem Network News, and this is Terri Wisdom. And we are speaking today with Harlem Park to Park, and we're talking about the incredible Black Lives mural that is here in Harlem, right at the Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard and 125th. That's being looked over by the incredible statue of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. You can't get better than that. So,
right.
If you would just share with us, I know that LaRon Wilson was the curator, and then there were other artists that were brought in, but who were the artists?
Sure.
Who were the artists? And
Sure.
Valerie's with us. She's
great.
back in. But who were the artists, Nikoa? Please.
Sure. So LaRon Wilson, as Valerie mentioned, which is her husband, and was the curator. We had Guy Stanley Beloche. We had Diane Smith, Leslie Felix, Jason Wallace, Joyous Pierce, Thomas Heath, and Omo Misha.
Yes.
So all of these artists were well known in their own right, some of which are internationally known, but have extensive experience in all different art forms, sculpting, fine art, photography, etc. So really diverse backgrounds, and world that Valerie operates within quite often as a publicist for culinary as well as arts. So the so her background and with LaRon, they were sort of the artist team in this process and spearheading that effort. So she can speak a lot about kind of the creative direction for it. And Valerie was instrumental in securing the partnership with the architectural firm, the Rockwell Group, to do the stenciling, which was a huge, what was initially going to be an obstacle for us because the cost of getting 20-foot stenciled letters installed was cost prohibitive. And we thought we had hit a roadblock that we were not going to be able to overcome. And through relationships she had, she was able to secure one of the most internationally renowned architectural firms to become a part of the project and assist with creating the stencils for the letters. So she can speak on that, but the artists, as she said, the artists were the focus for the unveiling because we wanted people to really understand the original artwork and the strategy around that piece of it, as opposed to the southbound side of the street, which was the Black Lives Matter message that was painted by the community in solid colors. Valerie, if you want to.
Hi, sorry about that.
Valerie.
technical difficulties.
It's okay. We overcome those too. So
We
go
do.
ahead. Nikoa was able to fill in about the artist and, you know, how that was the second initiative for people to really get to know the artists and
Right.
where they were coming from and what the intention was. And then she segued onto you being able through relationships to get the architectural firm to help with the stenciling. So if you want to take it from there, because this was indeed a production, I would say I come from a film and television background, so it was indeed a production. And so if you could share a little bit about all of the other activities, because it was more than just like a mural painted on the ground. You had several activities that you rolled out. I didn't miss many of them, but I got a little bit of a late notice because I definitely would have been there for the meditation with Nafisa. She is my favorite African dance teacher and meditation person, and also the cyclist person. So if you would just share, because there were activities. This was more than a mural. This was like, you know, but I don't know. I want to say Harlem Week wrapped into Black Lives Mural Week or 2 weeks. So if you want to share a little bit about some of the activities and how you were able to pull all of that off, please.
Well, again, the space, you know, we wanted it to be a space that the community would really want to engage in and use it. And we saw early on that that was happening from day one. I would say to Nikoa, people really would route their walks around how they were going to be able to go past and spend time at the mural and get to the store or pick up their coffee. I was having coffee there on a daily basis. So we understood that the community was really using that space. And so why not program it? So and with Erica was really instrumental in a lot of getting that program together, as well as Omo Misha, who actually reached out and said, you know, we can put together some great community programming, meditation. We had a sort of exercise class out there. We had children's arts and live theater. We had live musicians coming out and play. We had an open mic. And then the Heath Gallery also was able to come out and do their hang night program, which they do regularly in their gallery, inviting artists in the community to come in, put up their work, and get to speak on their work and share, which was fantastic. That they were able to bring it out there and actually get some coverage as well from it for the gallery, which was fantastic as well. So for us, how much, especially for the creative talents that we have in Harlem, how many of them were able to really use that space for the things that they were doing. We had people that came out and shot videos for their music videos on the mural. Of course, there was the Harlem Parade, which Trinez Woods Black helped to organize, along with a group of incredible creatives that came up with the concept, and she was able to help them bring it to the mural and amplify it in that way. So we had it was such a useful and meaningful space. And you brought up the vandalism. And the one thing I would say that the vandalism did was it stole a week of our time. It stole a week of time from the community for programming. We didn't hear the message that this person was sending. We didn't understand why of all places Harlem would be a target. In fact, when all of this was happening, obviously we knew that murals were being vandalized, but in our heads, none of us saw anyone thinking of coming to Harlem.
Right.
To do that.
Yes. Anyone
so it was just
to come to Harlem.
It was just the furthest thing from our mind that it would happen, and the night that it happened felt so surreal to all of us. There were a group of men, artists, that were out there very shortly before it happened. My husband being one of them. I don't think he was in the house for 30 minutes before we got a phone call that the mural had been vandalized, and then we were back out there. up and, up to the wee hours of the night, figuring out what to do next. But what was more powerful was how the community rallied and, decided that we were actually going to repair our mural. And they came out, the volunteers came out in droves, and we were able to do it. And actually, the second round looked even better than the first. The artists literally came and repainted their work, and all of it really came together. I also just wanted to say something about the architect and screen art team that came out and helped us in the beginning. It was crucial for the artists. That was the one request that they really made of us, that they had seen previous murals, and it was distracting to them as artists to see uneven lettering. And so they asked if we could, if we would be able to make that a priority. And that was the charge. And that was why we put out the ask to a major architectural firm, because it had to be done at that level for us to do it. And that ask opened up all of these doors where we had the artists that go and paint sets for Broadway and films came out and laid down our letters. And we had a printing company that printed to scale those stencils so that we could have perfectly formed letters. And then those screen artists, they gave our artists the letters perfectly done and primed it for them so that their colors would pop. I mean, they were so meticulous in how it was done that our mural just stands out, not only for its artistry but for its precision. And it's now a photograph that's being shared all over the world. And we were able to do that here in Harlem as a community together.
I think it's more than a tribute to Harlem Park APark. It's a tribute to Harlem and the community. It's a tribute to New York City, because though it's Harlem and though there is a lot of polarization in the city, and there are different racial situations and polarization, but at the end of the day, like, New York City is a very intense place. It is a place that does not sleep. And it's a place that if you need an architect at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can probably get them. If you need paint or whatever you need, you can get it. So I think it's also a tribute to how this city rebounds, despite all of the, differences. And, New York City is probably one of the most diverse cities in the entire world. So it's many, many things, but just the fact that all of this rooted and came out of Harlem, which is the Black Mecca. I mean, it was amazing. And to my understanding, and once again, this is Terri Wisdom, and I'm here with Harlem Network News, and I'm speaking with the executive director and our PR person and board member for Harlem Park APark. But to me, there were 2 incidences of vandalism, and you all overcame both of them, and you overcame it, like I said, just in such a humble and strong way. You just kept your eye on the prize. Whatever happened, you dealt with it, you figured it out, you addressed the people. And so to me, that's really, really, really significant. And I think that you are a good example and role model of what can be done and how to do it. I mean, people always say, like, they said you do culinary stuff too. And I always think of from the restaurant side, and I know that Nikoa will, say that this is the fact, that in the kitchen, it's always a dance. People are moving, nobody bumps into each other. It finally just gets out on the table. So I think that within Park APark, you all really exemplified that dance. Everybody was coming together. speak a little bit about, because we're getting there to the end of our time, but I want to make sure that everybody really knows who you are, what you've done, where we are now with the Black Lives Mural, and where we're going, what the direction was. But I was really impressed. I know that we had, I believe her name was Danae, on the last day of the culminating event. I think a music video was being done, but I know she was like one of Beyonce's dancers, and they were all these dancers, and they were the Harlem Parade, and they were moving down the street. What was happening? What was that about? We were all there, but I don't really know the backstory. So maybe you want to share that, so when everybody sees that, they know what happened. Yes.
Well, as Valerie mentioned, that's a project that Trinez Woods Black helped produce. He is friends with Janae Baptiste and CJ from Creative Genius Support. Janae is a principal dancer for Beyonce, and she is from Harlem and wanted to create a video montage that really celebrated Harlem. It featured everything from the arts and culture to the businesses in Harlem, influencers, entrepreneurs, and ultimately, from my understanding, Harlem Parade will become an online directory of Black-owned business, featuring Black-owned businesses and entrepreneurs and cultural institutions. So she came up with a creative way to launch Harlem Parade through the creation of the video featuring Harlem and filmed on the Black Lives Matter mural. So it's the kickoff to what will ultimately be, will be the ultimate directory of Black everything in terms of business, art, culture. Yeah, and so that was, and Trinez, as I said, she's longtime friends with them. And so it was a natural partnership for her to get involved in creating that table.
Okay, so that sounds great. How can, do you know how people can find out more about Harlem Parade? Or I'm sure you'll let us know, you know, where we are.
I believe the website is harlemparade.com.
Okay.
I think they have at least a link.
Right.
Okay, fantastic.
I believe that website goes live on the 18th, I think. I think it goes live later this month.
Okay, okay, so harlemparade.com will go live later. And how can people get in touch with Harlem Park APark? How can they join? How long is their membership? What does the membership afford them? And what things and initiatives are on the horizon for Harlem Park APark right now?
Sure. Well, people can certainly find us on our website, which is harlemparktopark.org. And through that, they can also contact us directly regarding interest in joining either our mailing list or joining the membership. Membership is, there's an annual fee that businesses pay depending on whether they're a nonprofit or a for-profit business. It's an annual fee of $250 for nonprofits and $350 for for-profits. It's a one-time fee. And what that membership gets them is a number of things. One, to be a part of one of the influencer networks in Harlem, entrepreneurs. But two, it also gets them participation in the signature programs that we produce. Most of them, there's just a nominal fee for members to be included, and that's everything from the Harlem Harvest Festival to Harlem Restaurant Week to mixology competitions. There's a number of marketing programs we're producing throughout the year, our weekly newsletter, et cetera. So members are automatically able to participate in those. And then there's an advocacy part of Harlem Park APark that just by default is in place. And so we, as an example, through COVID-19, there was a COVID-19 response that we formulated in order to assist the businesses during this period. So having access to information, being given access to partnerships, sponsorships through the network. Businesses will often collaborate amongst each other to do cross-promotional activations. So it really is, as an entrepreneur, it's a tough business to be an entrepreneur, and oftentimes people are operating in a silo or in their own bubble, and it can be a lonely existence being an entrepreneur. So being a part of a network of other entrepreneurs that understand the hustle that you live every day is important. And then just having access to resources. It could be everything from, I need a new plumber for a leak in my basement, to Nikoa, I need a strategic partnership with a supplier for my linens, to I want to do a cross promotion with another business, or I want to be a part of restaurant. I mean, it ranges, it depends, and people are as involved as they want to be. And so there are some members that just, you know, want to benefit from the marketing and they just want to be featured in any marketing we're doing. And then some want to get involved at a level where they bring a platform to the organization for us to build out, and can become a true partner with Harlem Park to Park in creating a signature platform. And so the opportunity is there for everyone to leverage the organization in the way that they can to build their business or their strategy.
Okay, and so this brings us to this question and where we are today. What has it been like for your members and Harlem businesses during this COVID-19? How have you had to shift your movements to make things work? I think, you know, for a lot of us, it's really just been a time where we've definitely been using all our back skills, and we've been making lemonade out of lemons, which is what we know how to do anyway. And so we have looked at COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, you know, how can we really make it work for us? So what's it been like for Harlem Park to Park, and how have you been innovative during this time, and how hard have a lot of the businesses been hit? And are there any special initiatives that you've been able to help people with? And things that the audience needs to know about. This is Harlem Network News, harlemnetworknews.com, so that you can, you know, find out and help. Yes.
Well, COVID-19 hit Harlem hard. I mean, it hit communities of color around the country especially hard. So yes, our businesses have been tremendously impacted, you know, in a number of ways, because, you know, again, we have in the network, we have businesses that are at different levels of experience and scale. So the ability to kind of withstand the impact, business closures, to be closed for months at a time, to have the ability to generate revenue reduced substantially, particularly for the restaurants, which is already a low margin business. It's been extremely tough on the restaurant industry specifically, but across the board. The biggest issue was for a lot of businesses was accessing the PPP funding and the EIDL funding. Those businesses that had their sort of administrative end in place, meaning they had payroll services, they had accounting records, et cetera, were able to quickly access the funding, and those that did not were not. So there was definitely a, especially in the first round. By the second round, it was a little bit better. But so people have been trying to figure out, you know, pivot is the word of the year for 2020, and how to shift their strategies. Everyone recognized very quickly that going digital was key to survival. What was your digital strategy, your online strategy? So for the restaurants, getting your delivery and takeout model on digital platforms immediately was key. But for all businesses that had not been really focusing on their digital marketing strategies, that was the key area where we as an organization, our role for Park to Park, as I said before, we've been really focused on programming in the past. This required that we shift into a resource hub and disseminating information, because the information was coming so fast, and it was so comprehensive, boiling it down to bullet points and getting it out to the businesses so they could quickly access the funding applications, understanding kind of what the new protocols were for COVID-19, health protocols, et cetera. So we were disseminating information, but then also as an organization, I had to figure out how were we gonna pivot, because we also needed to become virtual. All of our large scale events, from April to December, we are producing large outdoor street festivals and festivals in the park, between Harlem Meetup, along with Marcus Samuelson, through the Harvest Festival and the Holiday Fair. So all of those got canceled. So how do I create strategies to promote our businesses that are now virtual as opposed to actual outdoor. And so what we are doing to shift, we have been, as I said, providing virtual business education courses and technical assistance for the businesses. But on the programming side, we are launching something we're calling HP2P Live, which is going to be a live streaming almost channel that will essentially replace our vendor pop-ups by providing a digital platform for the businesses to promote themselves. They'll do everything from panel discussions to cooking demos, product demos, but featuring the businesses through an online streaming platform that'll be interactive with consumers. So that is in development. And then launching, hopefully by holiday, a gift box program that people will be able to buy locally made product. Many of the vendors that are in the Harlem Local Vendor Program, so being able to purchase the gift boxes. So we've been able to think about how do we replicate the objective of our pop-up vendor fairs to showcase the businesses, but do it in a way that people can access digitally.
Okay, so once again, Nikoa, how do people get in touch with Harlem Park to Park? How does someone get your newsletter and so on and so forth? Because we want to make sure that our audience and the community is informed, because as you said, especially now, there's so much information, it's coming so fast, and you know, you've got to deal with the content of your business, but at the same point, you got to do the back end stuff to survive. So,
sure. Well, people can reach out to us through the website, which is harlemparktopark.org. And if they click on the contact page, the email will come actually directly to me, or they can email me at info@harlemparktopark.org. You can also subscribe to our newsletter on the website. And on the website, there are links to all of the other programs that we offer, from the Harlem Local Vendor Program to all of the events that we hope in 2021 we'll be able to resume. So but that's the best way. Also, all of our social media is at Harlem Park to Park, so on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And once again, we're wrapping up. This is Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. You can reach us on harlemnetworknews.com. You can certainly make a donation, a contribution. If you have stories or information that you feel should be shared, you're welcome. If you'd like to volunteer, everything is welcome. We're working collectively and not competitively. So I love it. Valerie, if you could just wrap up and just let us know what is next for the Black Lives Matter mural. Are cars going over it now? Are we going to have any open days where we have events? I know you talked about some marketing and merchandising that will come out of it. You know, I also know we had a beautiful video of it from the air. I don't know how that was done with a drone or whatever, but that was amazing. So if you could just share a little bit about what's next for Harlem Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So speaking of the videos, we did do a lot of work with capturing this entire process. So we have a lot of content that we have available to us, and the goal is that we are going to put together a documentary film about of this mural, encapsulating everything that we were able to accomplish with it, and to be able to share that so that the mural lives beyond its existence here on the ground. And then we're going to do some additional sort of art merchandising with it, where we'll make prints of the artwork that the artist created that will be available in limited quantities. And then beyond that, we hope that in September we'll be able to come back and do some level of programming on the mural, and make it and make Juneteenth sort of a regular engagement on the mural moving forward. Fortunately, there are cars driving on it now because the streets are required to be opened up, but we feel like we captured so much of the essence of what was created. We were able to definitely document the work that was done on it, that we can be able to use it for future content that we want to move forward in creating with it. So we're really excited about the opportunity to produce a documentary feature about this project, and we see that growing more extensions beyond that once we're able to get that piece done.
Okay, so that sounds great. And I know we have a few other events that are annual events that are coming up here in Harlem. Well, we just finished the International African Arts Festival, and they were virtual. We had the BAM Dance Africa, that was virtual. You know, so we're really, you know, just kind of testing the waters on this, but it's been interesting and everybody has addressed it creatively. I know we have Harlem Week coming up, and that's going to be virtual. And then, of course, we have our great African American Day Parade that is coming up. But it's just been, I believe, an incredible experience and a living example of Black Lives Matter and people working collectively. I know you were able to get the support and the security of the organization that's right there. If you want to just give them a shout out, I don't want to say the name wrong, but the school, the Allah School that, you know, was able
Right,
to
school, right there at 127th. They
yeah,
were
yeah, so
helpful. That was a relationship that Erica brought to the table, and they were tremendous in allowing us to access their facility for storage, to use the restroom. And they really were a part of the security that guarded the mural at night once we did the repairs.
Okay, okay. So this is another great day in Harlem, and I'm so happy to finally have gotten the Harlem Park to Park team here, because they have been so busy just doing the work. And we will be reaching out to you again, and we want to hear from you what you have going on. I know there's another project that's coming up that I'm involved with on Community Board 10. We are a task force. We're working on a monument, a tribute to the exonerated 5. So we're at the very beginning of that, but it's going to be a project that's going to happen quickly, because I think I don't know if it's the 25th anniversary is coming up next year. So we're going to move quick, but it's something that I am definitely going to tell the committee that we need to talk with Harlem Park to Park on this. We need to talk with LaRon on this. You know, we really need to work collectively, because I was able to see that you all were able to move quickly what's needed, and also reinvent when needed also, as well as deal with all of the powers that be in integrated fashion. And that was exceptional. So we're gonna say goodbye for now, okay? And we're hoping that everyone will get on that site for Harlem Park to Park. They will take initiative. And what is your company name again, Valerie, please? The PR company? I think Valerie's frozen.
Valink PR.
Valink.
ValinkPR.com is her website.
Okay.
Valink PR.
Okay. So if folks need great PR and anything else, you can just come to Harlem Park to Park. And of course, Harlem Network News is glad to bring you everything Harlem and for the Harlems of the world. So thank you very much. It's a great interview and a lot of information, and knowledge is power. Thank you.
Thank you, Terri.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.